Thank you for those excellent presentations. Maybe a question to Mr. Ross Aga. What is the perception, or at least the impact on the end users when they see that they can reduce their bill? But at the same time, the Linz AG is made of the stakeholders, which is the power and water and so on and so forth. How do they see that they are losing business by getting their users to use less?
Can we perhaps collect a couple of other questions? Yes.
I do not know to what extent some of the services and the improvements regarding infrastructure services are addressing to solve the typical problems of large conurbations, where there are specific issues that technologies and the future internet and IoTization, in the terminology used by Mr. Muñoz, will solve. Or, in some cases, there are improvements and a new way of contributing to the improvement of the well-being of the citizens in large conurbations. In the first case, I understand that most of the concept and most of the deployments are addressing urban areas, of course, because the problems are there. But in the second case, for new services, I get the statistical data provided by Mr. Oliveira, in which you predict by 2050, if I do not remember, more than 50% or so will live in large urban areas. And I am concerned on that, because I am claiming, should we include in the smart city the smart village, not only the city, in the way that we do not launch the message that all future improvement will be concentrated and focused only in urban cities where large conurbation will be created? I mean, are we sending the message that the only way to progress in the future is by exploiting and benefiting from the new technologies, so those technologies will be available only in urban areas, and therefore the people are invited to migrate and to contribute to make reality the statistic of Mr. Oliveira? I mean, what is your thinking on that regard? May it be that Mr. Anastasios Gavras is also assessing the social impact in the Fiesta project. Therefore, I would appreciate some comment. Thank you.
Good morning. Let me do a very short question. I really love this question that we are now all going to move to the towns, which is great. I am a town boy, so I love it. And we are going to have sensors everywhere and services easily available about everything. When do you stop spying me?
Another question is, we are having more and more powerful devices, more computing power, more storage power, and yet we are talking here about moving things, computation power and storage to the cloud. Shouldn't we study the other way around? Shouldn't we study the distribution of computing power and storage instead of concentrating them in the cloud? Thank you.
The impact on the users, or what have these users done during this 1.5 years time? In case of the group which used internet access with the daily data, they have only changed their habit in using different equipment. That means they have changed their energy consumption by electricity and in a greater amount by heating. They have looked in their view, and then this is in mind, okay, I will alter a little bit my habit, maybe in switch off my light earlier. In our questionnaire, most of them didn't really know how they have changed in their activities to find these savings. It is different by the energy management group with the online data. They were very active. They were really active. So there were a sub-metering. So a lot of them has tested different equipment, and they have invested in other ones which runs with less energy. One special guy has detected that his coffee machine is running after making a coffee with a standby and always heating on. So he has also changed these characteristics and save energy. This was one of the special guys. The internet have very less activity using the internet and not really knowing how they work in their savings. And completely others, these guys and these people which have used the energy management service, the online service, with active management.
So I guess we need to do a campaign to explain to the end users they are missing something. So somebody has to explain that to.
The project has ended with February, and we will have the last event now in June, end of June.
Okay, so on the second question, I mean, why smart cities? I mean, how about the pieces which are not cities?
So, I mean, yes. I mean, there, indeed, if you allow me, I would like to answer to the, let's say, to the last 2 or 3 questions that were raised, because they are relevant as all of them, and eventually they are linked. So concerning the smart cities versus smart villages, so just to let you know, although I suppose that you know very well, there are already projects running in the, let's say, in the village atmosphere, let's say. So there is a nice project which is called Radical, that has just started, which is addressing precisely that. So the idea of how we extend, let's say, the smart city concept to the smart region, and the smart region, let's say, addressing, let's say, the needs and their particularities raised by a small concentration of population, which gaps in terms of infrastructure, communication infrastructures, etc., etc. So I think that this is a reality. This is a reality already running let's say, time being. Indeed, already in Fiverr there was a usage area which was addressing agriculture scenario, and the project I think that was called Agri-Food, correct. So I would say that already there were several initiatives running around this area. So then this is the first point. Concerning the second point, there was a comment which I don't agree at all in terms of building platforms, not building platforms. I would say that building platforms means that you are creating knowledge, new knowledge, and you are discovering general and particular problems that need to be solved. I don't know which platforms you were referring to, if you were referring to the command and control platform, you were referring to the infrastructure platform. So I would like to know a little bit more which is the kind of platform that you are mentioning. But just, let's say, putting the example of Santander, we have learned that now, for example, making the use of IoT technology for waste management will allow, let's say, to save, for sure, money, will allow to save in the future human resources, will allow to save, let's say, the use of trucks. So, and this has been discovered because, not discovered, because it was already predicted, but this has been assessed, empirically speaking, by, let's say, the fact that a platform has been deployed and that you can quantify on top of this platform. So this is I would say, is an important issue. And then the second comment you made in terms of the concentration of information, I think that all of us will agree that now the information is not concentrated. Once we show here the repository, it doesn't mean that you have a big repository in which you have all the information collected there. I would say that even before having this cloud stuff, once we have the home location register in GSM networks, 3G networks, etc., we had a big concentration of data belonging to the users. So, and that was solved by distributing and creating mirror of databases, etc. So I think that this is not a new problem, and it's just a question of creating, let's say, or providing the infrastructure for supporting the communications in agile way. So this is, don't know if I answer, or I try to answer at least to your comments.
Well, let's go, Anna, what's your view?
I would like to say something to well, I can start with the distributed cloud. So it is true, the devices all over the place are getting more powerful, they have more processing capacity, more storage capacity, more memory. But this is also, I think this is part of, I think, the first challenge that I was talking about. This is being treated as cloudlets or as fog or distributed cloud, and there are already European projects running in this direction, and it's still part of the cloud. This is only about how, if you think of cloud as a server, but the cloud is not a server, it does not have to be. And so it will still be processing and sharing of resources, whether those resources are in a big data center only, or if they are in a big data center partially, and partially also distributed wherever they can be, wherever all these powerful devices are going to be. And this, I think, will be used to improve the latency and improve the user experience. But it's being dealt with, so these are technical issues that I think are being dealt with. So it's not that it's not being taken care of. That's the one thing. And then to the privacy, when people will stop spying, I think there is one issue, which is the word spying. Some people might consider it spying, some people might not consider it spying. After this NSA thing last week, the Pew Institute did a survey in the United States, and actually 52% of the population in the United States, of Americans, they are very freedom aware, but 52% of them were in favor of the spying and of the NSA having direct access, whatever that means also, to the servers, and only 45 were against. So in a democracy, I think that this issue is something we need to talk. That's the big elephant in the room that nobody talks about. Yes, all these things are possible. We should try and see what is possible. What can we do with this data? Which benefits can we obtain from it? But what does it cost? And we need to talk about it. It's a society, it's a democratic society. We need to just say what we mean, talk to people, and discuss this openly and regulate whatever needs to be regulated. I think until now, we only hear opinions that are very extreme. You know, in the media is always only, full disclosure, we're going to be completely big brother, or, oh, I don't care. But I think, we need a balanced solution in the middle. So we need to define what is spying. I think we haven't done that yet.
Anastasius, on the concept of platform, since you were questioning on that.
Well, obviously I agree with José there, and I disagree a little bit there, because a platform really at the end will show its business case when it is used more than once or twice or three times. Really, a platform needs really a lot of applications in order to pay off. And well, we can build platforms to illustrate some functionality that is possible, but that's not a commercial thing in the first place. You have to, that's what we're doing in research effectively. We are showing options. So we do research, we build something, and then we display to the world and say, okay, is this useful or not? And out of the research results, we know, at least 9 out of 10 are basically not used, right? Only very few are somehow commercial success, not need to be big success, but at least a success where somebody can make a living out of it, right? So this is, in fact, my position on platforms. But also, platforms, I consider also this in the connection with the cloud, because this was also questioned when we start to move out of the cloud. I think this is just a matter of a pendulum, because we always have, since many, many years or decades now, always the question, what is cheaper? To transmit data, right? To process data, or to store data, right? If processing gets cheaper, then we'll calculate this data again instead of transmitting them. If transmission gets cheaper, then we'll transmit data everywhere. Today, we are in the position that storage is actually very cheap, so we dump all the data somewhere, and that's it, right? So there will be times again where we reconsider that, and when we see that, for example, communication gets more ubiquitous than it is today, then we'll have a situation where the cloud, as also Anna observed or commented, will be not some big data center, but will be a collection of smaller devices that can hold and manage data on behalf of a group, for a large group of people, right? What I would like also to do is to take a position about this city versus smart village, smart city versus smart village. I think here we have also a problem of chicken and egg. I mean, why do people leave out the villages? Because the infrastructure is actually not good. If we improve the infrastructure, people move out of the cities as well. Because, I mean, both things have their pros and cons, and it's only, again, a matter of balance we have to strike as a society in order to reverse this trend, perhaps. I don't know if it is correct to say so. So things like also services that we in our project in Fistar provide in very rural areas in North Norway, where there are really hundreds of kilometers before you can reach the hospital. There are lots of services that people actually receive on healthcare over the communication that's available there. So it is not a contradiction, it's rather a balance that we have to strike here to find the right way. And I finally would like also to comment on this energy thing, because I still think that we are not calculating the full equation. Because even we are saving energy on the actual single end customer, I think the total cost of ownership is negative for the society. Because the equipment that we install and all the servers that are running to compute something, whether it is more efficient to do this way or that way, this is also energy that is invested there to produce them, to manufacture the equipment, to run the services and all that stuff. And maybe you can confirm or reject that, whether this is in your equation, but I believe it is not. Because we have also this interesting, I don't know if you know about the Jevons paradox, which basically says, which was a British economist in the 19th century, where he said in the context of consumption of coal, that the more efficiently we tend to use a resource, the more resource we use. So we do not use less resource because we use it efficiently, but we actually use more. And that is the case, I think, today with energy.
Let me remind you that the ultimate goal of this future internet exercise is to create jobs. And jobs are created in SMEs. And you are an SME. You have 35 people employed. So before you address the other questions, can you tell us if you're hiring people?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. We are. And it's in our area, and I think anyone with a company in IT knows that the demand for people is high. We need people to work, and we need good people, we need talented people, and the demand is really high in the market right now. Concerning the questions that were raised, first of all, about on the topic, on the subject of building platforms. I believe the issue is not with building platforms. The issue is building platforms that sometimes are disconnected from reality, from the needs.
Can I ask the two members there? Please.
This has raised some controversy. I can see that. Come on, we need to build things to learn, to fail, and to succeed. We need to build them. We need to fail a lot of times to succeed once. So building is not the issue. The issue is sometimes we're building and we're stuck away in our labs or in our companies. We don't listen to what the real needs are. That's what we need to address. That's what we need to build. We need to build things that people need and that people want. About computational power and also addressing the smart cities versus smart village. Of course, I think I totally agree with Anna here. The computational power is distributed. The cloud is not some big data center. That has been addressed. I think we all agree on that. On top of that, our mobile devices are not dumb devices. That's why they're called smartphones. They're being used to a great extent. and their capabilities, their sensors, we are using them now more than ever. We are taking full advantage of the sensors in our mobile devices and in sensors everywhere to build our applications. So even if sometimes the processing power is focused more on the cloud, in like a big data center or a small data center, the mobile is still processing a lot of things. And one of the main concerns right now is battery life and how we can respond to that on mobile devices, seeing that we could process a lot of information there, but we would be losing battery life and the users would be dissatisfied. On the topic of smart cities versus smart villages, we are obviously we were addressing the problems of smart cities more than anything else, but that has been discussed as well. I think no one's ignoring that villages and rural areas, they need information, they need processing, they need the same kind, not the same kind, but a different kind of treatment. But they also need to harness some of the processing power and some of the computational power to their advantage. Well, cities are not what they used to be. They are more extensive. They encompass a lot more area and a lot more people. So they are eating up the rural areas as well. And the what was once considered a rural area is now part of the city. But there will still be rural areas and we still need to address our problems. I think just not in the same way. We need to look at what the problems of these areas are, what the needs of those people are, and address them in a way that will satisfy them.